Steve McClendon is a 320-pound defensive lineman for the Pittsburgh Steelers. In a recent interview with ESPN, he was asked about the hardest thing he's ever had to do. To the interviewer's surprise, he answered, "Ballet. Today I am going to persuade you why dance should be considered a sport. Through both my extensive research and experience as a dancer, I have discovered many valid reasons to believe that competitive dance is a sport that requires just as much athletic ability as football, basketball, soccer, or baseball. Today I am going to share with you how competitive dance meets all the requirements of a sport, including athletic ability, endurance and strength, strategy and skill, and competition and defense. Then I will respond to some opposing views. CBS Sports defines a sport as an activity that requires athletic ability, strength, endurance, strategy, competition, and defense. According to Jackie Hawes, author of Dance Anatomy, every dance technique requires intense control, which is provided by core strength. Modern dance choreography requires tricky and creative jump combinations, as well as challenging movement patterns for the spine. Without a strong core, a dancer's movement looks sloppy and weak. We can look at each dance movement in a series of phases: ascending, flight, and descending. The ascending phase engages muscles in a concentric type contraction. The flight phase requires lifting and holding that involves extreme core strength and isometric contraction. Descending requires a muscle contraction in which some of the muscles lengthen while supporting the landing. According to Dance Anatomy, studies show that landing from a leap can create a force up to 12 times your body weight. A force as large as this is likely to cause injury, so dancers must maintain control of their body by using their strength. According to the Livestrong Foundation, a 150-pound ballet dancer can lose up to 432 calories per hour. Dance requires a body with both muscular and cardiovascular endurance that is able to sustain itself during long periods of practicing and performing. So, as you can see, just like football or water polo, dance requires a large amount of athletic ability, strength, and endurance. Now we can take a look at how dance meets the sport requirement of strategy and skill. Dancers must use strategy to learn and memorize large amounts of choreography. According to Stanford Dance, dancing integrates several brain functions at once: kinesthetic, rational, musical, and emotional, further increasing the neural connectivity. Dance is about more than the physical strength and endurance. It takes strategy. Dancers must master the skill of maintaining rhythm and technique while simultaneously expressing an emotional connection to their performance. According to Christopher Berglund of Psychology Today, dancers must also master the skill of synchronizing the cerebrum and cerebellum in order to be able to memorize and consolidate the steps of a sequence. So now that you understand how the strategy and skills of a dancer can be evenly compared to the strategy and skills of a baseball or soccer player, we can talk about how dance involves competition and defense. According to a Chapman psychological study of competitive dance, there are approximately 200 local and regional and national dance competitions held annually. After dancing competitively for 9 years, I have a thorough understanding of how this process works. Competitors range from the ages of toddlers to college students. Dancers compete against other dancers in their own age in solos, duets, trios, or groups in different categories based on the dance style. Dancers perform in front of a panel of expert judges who give them a score based on their execution of technique, choreography, and performance quality. Dancers must defend their scores by outperforming other dancers. Depending on the size of the competition and how many total dances there were, the judges will announce the highest scoring performances in a top 3, top 10, or even top 20. I know by now you probably all believe that dance is a sport because it meets all of the requirements. But for those of you who still aren't convinced, I'm going to address some of the reasons you might still be arguing against it. Some of you may be thinking along the lines of former Stanford and professional basketball player Mariah Nelson. She told ESPN that although dancers are athletic and require strength, stamina, and balance, dance is not a sport because it does not involve the throwing, catching, or kicking of some type of ball. Did you ever consider the fact that most Olympic sports actually don't involve a ball? According to the official website of Olympic Movement, all of the following are considered to be a sport, none of which contain a ball: archery, boxing, track and field, swimming, diving, cycling, equestrian, gymnastics, skiing, luge, snowboarding, and ice skating. You may also side with Brittany Cottler of the Huffington Post, who says that dancers are competitive with each other in the same way artists, musicians, and actors are. You might be thinking dance is not a sport because there is no score. However, as I pointed out earlier, due to the competition and defense involved in competitive dancing, this is a false assumption. Competitive dancing does, in fact, involve a score. At competitions, dancers receive a score from judges based on their execution of proper dance technique, choreography, and performance. At the end of a competition, dancers are put in order of scores from lowest to highest in a point system similar to that of ice skating. In conclusion, today I have helped you understand how dance meets all 6 requirements of the sport. Now you know that dance takes athletic ability, strength and endurance, strategy and skill, and competition and defense. We also responded to the false claims that sports must involve a ball and dance does not have a score. So if any of you football players want a core as strong as Steve McLendon, I suggest you get yourself into some ballet classes.